正经关不了，关不了正经。各位同学们，大家好。老师今天呢户外教学，我的所在地呢，各位看后面，哈利波特的故乡，海利波特的故乡，这里就是英国伦敦，就是蔡同学坎坷的求学路的所在地。好，我们一群人呢保密到家，从世界各地跑到了伦敦来聚集。那么我们经历了一段福尔摩斯的这个旅程。福尔摩斯的故乡好像也在这里啊。过两天如果我们有时间的话，带大家去看看。不过先工作重要。好，昨天呢记者会啊，太多朋友给了我们非常多的意见啊，鼓励也好，批评也好，我们都非常感谢。不到24个小时，观看的人数已经超过了55万，可见对这件事情关心的人真的非常的多。好，那这整个记者会当中呢，我们检讨了一下，有加分有扣分，但整体来讲，我会给他98分。扣哪2分呢？扣没有办法让 liar infant 没有办法让辣英粉可以满足，所以扣他2分。待会我们会每一个细节呢，清楚的跟各位朋友呢一起来交代。各位同学，好，今天的节目当中会分2个部分，一个是我会很清楚的告诉大家我们这整个计划进行的过程，中间还碰到了诸多的黑手，还有各种奇怪的事情发生在我们的身上，那真是奇怪的事情啊。那另外呢，我们会把昨天整个记者会的过程配上中文字幕，同时我们已经做好了英文字幕啊，会向全世界各地发送。然后我们接下来呢还要征求一些翻译的高手。好，日本語大丈夫です。Hasta la vista。我们会用各种语言向全世界发送，而且我们已经做了一个决定，我们的行脚将会全世界走透透，直到蔡同学的这个悬案水落石出，还他清白为止。好，那么接下来呢，我们就会进行到记者会的现场。不过我先跟大家讲一讲，大家听了一定会蛮感兴趣的，就是我们整个旅程，这整个行程的规划呢，在1个星期之内完成。虽然开记者会这件事情在我们几个人的脑海当中已经是酝酿很久，但是我们一直在找很好的时间。为什么找时间啊？为什么这段时间英国的记者都很忙？本来我们要避开他们的忙碌，因为最近英国全部上下都在关心脱欧的事。这个脱欧的事本来啊，在上星期就应该可以结束了，所以我们就想说结束之后就来，没想到好事多磨。到现在为止，全英国的媒体，全英国人一半反脱欧，一半挺脱欧，大家都在关心脱欧，没人关心蔡同学。蔡同学是谁？我来到这边我才发现，我们的外交做的真的很差，很多记者搞不清楚 Republic of China on Taiwan, Republic of China at Taiwan, Chinese Taipei, Taiwan 搞不清楚。连我们的 President， 我写给他们的这些新闻稿，他们都一直跟我讲说 Miss 英文 Miss 英文，因为这个蔡同学喜欢独树一帜，把他自己的 first name 放在后头，last name 放在前面。4年前他的新闻稿英文稿我就纠正过他，我公开纠正他，而且我跟总统府杠上了。我说英文很简单， first name first, last name last。 你不要喜欢搞个这个创新，除非你是谁，除非你是 Michael Jackson， 你说我怎么写你都要听我的，对不对？除非你是这个Kobe Bryant 啊，你说我写个 Brian Kobe， 别人也知道你是 Kobe Bryant。所以我们那个时候其实就跟总统府在这件事情上杠上，我就跟他讲说，因为我们的外交已经很困难了，我们的总统已经没人认识了，请你不要耍花招啊！你的正式名字应该叫做蔡 ，Come on， 英文，或者是英文蔡。就像我绝不会自己说自己是Peng Dennis， 对不对？那别人就会叫我说Miss Dennis，Mr. Dennis，Mr. Dennis。好了，这题外话。好，那么我们就透过各种方式然后进到了伦敦，而且我们事前的保密功夫，保密到什么情况呢？有话哥，我要联络你了，全世界只有3个人知道，我们连工作人员分2批不搭同一个班机，而且呢，我们怕这个万一这个班机呢，引擎突然掉落所以我们就从世界各地分3个地方用转机的方式进到了伦敦。那我也知道说，像我这样子国安局的头号眼中钉， 我只要一出境，一刷护照，国安局跟总统府秘书室，就是那个放烟的地方，应该就会铃声大作，半夜都会跳起来啊，应该是警报，那个铃声的响度应该比中共飞弹打过来更响，所以我们也知道，所以我们就平亚崩嘞，我们从头到尾，在前勤作业之前呢，我们所有的通讯不会透过 Line， 也不透过email， 也不透过所有的管道，我们自有自己的管道，而且我们创了一份正经的摩斯密码，叫做正经密码。好，我们用一种很特别的方式彼此联络，联络谁呢？我们有联络北美的，有联络欧洲的，好，欧洲有2个国家的，然后我们一起串联，约好什么情况下在哪里见面。这么做，是迫害妄想症吗？不是，我们这段时间，包括我在内，包括林环强教授在美国，还有徐永泰博士在英国、在美国都陆续发生了奇奇怪怪的事。好，这有空我们再来慢慢讲。讲到林环强教授，明天呢，我们节目会专访他，他会大爆料，会讲很多在记者会上被卡断了以后的事情啊。那我们会还原现场，你可以卡断我们的声音，你没有办法卡断我的话呀，对不对？你卡断我的话，除非你卡断我的脖子，你卡断我的脖子没有用啊。全球正义之士到现在肯定有几万个脖子引颈而望，在看着这件事情怎么发展。所以我们现在整个策略来讲，好，就是8个字：全球发声，分散风险。啊，所以呢，蔡同学，你可能不是只有国安局出动了，你可要联合 KGB、FBI、CIA。还有其他的这个欧洲的相关组织，你才能够堵得了我们的全球发声，分散风险。好，那么论文匹乓团呢，我们也有点小小的改变，因为现在不是重点不在论文了，也不在匹乓了，而我们要在全球遍地开花，直到什么呢？蔡同学不要加告我，直到还蔡同学清白为止。找出真相，还蔡同学清白为止。好，我们今天呢，在这个整个密谋的活动就这样子，从全球各地集中到了 London。那我当时我们买了华航的机票，很多人都跟我说，汤啊，就是事后了哈，事后人都跟我说，哎呦，你怎么敢坐华航？我说了，别忘了，最危险的地方就是最安全的地方。而且华航呢，这个搭有个目的，就是我看看，因为这趟花了不少钱了，有点软囊羞涩。那我们看看可不可以捡到烟啊，赚点外快。那同时华航比较安全，为什么？因为自从华航捡到烟事件之后，蔡同学，你在华航的朋友多还是我的朋友多？我看还很难讲吧。我看我在华航的粉丝应该完胜你在华航的朋友吧。什么100个小美也抵不过我那些遍布在全球各地正义的观众吧。好，那么我们就这样子集中到伦敦。那接下来要讲啊，有些英粉很嗨啦，讲我们记者会几个人呢？那个我们待会儿再来慢慢聊。那我们第一天呢就锁定了住一个小饭店，但是第2天啊，我们一下飞机啊，先跟大家报告，我们下飞机行李拿着转了2趟地铁。为什么转地铁呢？因为伦敦的交通遭到一个爆，所以呢我们怕耽误时间，我们一下飞机还在晕呢，拉了行李就跑哪里呢？律师事务所，完成了跟在英国的律师团，还有在这边见面的朋友啊，完成了一些法律上的动作。好，你知道我们保密到什么程度吗？我们跟林环强教授的联络都还透过第3人，而且林环强教授上飞机前大概72小时吧，或者是对，才知道，他应该是5天前才知道我们几个人要跟他一起在伦敦会合，他2话不说就订了机票，跟他太太啊，他是一个非常棒的一个贤内助，帮了我们很多忙，一起就在伦敦见了面。然后到伦敦见了面之后呢，我们只差没有彼此蒙面讲代号。我突然发现，我好像回到了孙中山周游列国革命的生活，又仿佛 回到了这个我很尊敬的前辈郭背红啊，在海外那个叫丢哇叫丢哇，仿佛回到了当年啊，在躲国民党特务的那个心酸的日子。而事实上，真的发生在我们身上奇怪的事情啊，讲了你真的会下巴掉下来。好，那我们第二天就是记者会的那一天啊，我们发了待会儿我再慢慢讲细节。我们为了怕台湾有人搅局，所以在海外的台湾的媒体通讯社，我们一家都没发。啊，我们其实做了很多的防范哈。那么最后哈，我们待会儿再来讲其他的这个现场的细节。那为什么我们要定在一个伦敦数一数二贵的饭店，叫 Savoy， 它是一个130年的老饭店，但是却是大家听到 Savoy 都会 salute 啊，是我们钱太多吗？当然不是，因为我们在当地的接应的人告诉我们说，我们要玩就玩真的，打肿脸充胖子也要装真的，所以呢，我们就很辛苦的在这边住一个晚上。那住一个晚上有什么好处呢？因为我们记者会开在这里，开在这里有几个好处。最大的好处是安全戒备森严，那住在这里，所以我们在这边订这边的会议室就便宜，而且它提供了我们10个彪形大汉拢免级，就是附在这个记者会的 package 里面。那我们就跟他讲说，我们可能需要一些保护，就来了10个，一个比一个壮，一个比一个黑，好，所以我们选择了 Savoy。那至于那些英粉跟那个Liar 英粉啊，跟那个 Liar Media，要黑我们，那就黑就黑嘛，反正那也无所谓。好，所以呢，我们在行前48小时，我们才发新闻通告。48小时上飞机前，我们才发新闻通告，因为我们怕时间太久会被某种程度会被反操作。有没有反操作呢？我不知道。但是有点可疑，因为某一家全球媒体中文网收到我们的 email， 收到我们的这个通知之后，我们还亲自打电话去，他竟然很斩钉截铁的跟我们说他不会来，也没说原因，很特别哦。一般同业是这样子，我在媒体也待这么久，我学生也遍布各地，来不来都不会讲，到最后一个他要来他就来，他不来他就不来，他也不会跟你讲说收到了我会来，也没有 RSVP， 没有这回事。媒体界就这样，全世界的媒体都这样。那所以这中间，我初步的判断，我们的摩斯密码还是有被正经密码还是有被拦截的可能性。好，那还有其他的种种的可疑的地方，待会我们就来看看。我突然发现我的纳税钱缴的还蛮值得的。我们的国安局还真的有在做事，好棒棒啊！我突然觉得，不错。我对中华民国政府呢充满了信心啊。好，那么我们这个摩斯密码保护到什么程度呢？正经关不了，我们公司也只有几只小猫嘛，各位知道，我们公司的员工都不知道，只知道呢某个人呢好像要轮休，那综艺咖呢可能要去看女儿就是预录了几场，搞不清楚直到我们记者会的 live 的前3个小时我把藏头诗写好丢过去，然后跟他们讲说，来。准备 OBS 直播，他们才尖叫惊呼，非常的开心，说终于好。那他们事后有讲，他们心里早就有一点感觉了觉得有点怪异。好，那么我们第一件事情就是下了飞机就拉到了这个律师的事务所，那律师事务所就完成了一个法律的手续，那后面我们会再讲的更详细一点。碰到这个律师很棒，带了一点这个英国腔，但是还好那他这个是一个曾经对抗过非常多不公不义的政府财团的一个很棒的律师，说话简洁明快，连他都不知道我们要开记者会，因为我怕他会泄露出去。他听到了以后，6条线他很紧张，他说 what， 然后他也帮我们去做了一些联系。但是他很担心我们会有在这个地方会诽谤啦，会有其他的这个责任在，所以他就帮我们写了一个律师声明给我们，说你就在开始的时候你先念用这个来保护你们 啊，他说哦，在英国你告人被告都很麻烦的事情，好，所以说啊没有，我说没有关系，我还跟他开玩笑，我说我打算下半辈子就留在英国坐牢了，顺便申请一张英国公民，他哈哈大笑，好，他说 brave， 好，那我们就这样子第一天落脚，然后我们第一天落脚到一个比较小的饭店，开始做所有的布局，那把所有的这个媒体，我们发出了超过70家的媒体，透过各个网络散发出去，而且我们待会儿再讲啊，不管他们到场多少，但是70家媒体全部收到了我们巨细靡遗的资料，这才是我们的目的。其实我们对英国的媒体的生态我们也了解。第一个，英国媒体呢，他们不习惯记者会，他们不喜欢拍记者会的画面，也不喜欢这种所谓的记者会，因为他们觉得大家都有的东西没兴趣，所以他们会比较喜欢私下跟你联络，私下跟你聊。至于谁私下跟我聊的，那我就不说了啊。有一天你们看到报纸，你们就会知道了。那为什么还要开记者会呢？因为我们需要一个直播的现场，好，我们需要一个一鱼两吃的现场，而且我们需要有一个 security 安全措施非常严密的地方。好，那我们就展开了这样子一个叠对叠的动作。好，待会儿我会再来跟大家详细发生奇奇怪怪的事情，包括为什么断讯。哎，我们用的是直接拉的线，不是用 WiFi 哦，专线连线哦，而且 upload 已经开到这边是最大哦，20个 MB 上传哦，而且他把它弄到最大，然后让所有的东西配合我们，结果还是断线，厉害吧？啊，没关系，你断线，那我们就来专访后半段所有被卡掉的东西，那不是更直接吗？好，而且呢，我们会把所有的东西呢还原之后，用各国语言送到全球的媒体，直到蔡同学俯首认罪为止，不然这件事情不会结束。好，我们进段广告之后回来呢，我们来看一下记者会的现场，上面配了中文的字幕，我们来看看昨天的35分钟在被卡掉之前的完整的现场的重现。但是我们会分几段，所以我待会儿呢，先播1/3，然后我就回来再跟大家讲一讲我们昨天在英国伦敦碰到的非常奇怪的种种事情，包括我们碰到了国安局的人。
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and friends from the press, and for reporters joining us online. My name is Dennis Peng. My first time in London was 28 years ago. I was a young reporter on my way to cover the Persian Gulf War, and my transit flight at the time stopped at London. Here I am, 28 years later. I'm back in London. This time at London, I'm not covering any war news. Instead, I'm here to fight a war in my personal life. War against injustice, and between evil and good. May I introduce Professor Lee from Bell College of Business, University of North Carolina, Charlotte, from USA. My name is Dennis Peng. I'm now the host of a YouTube program called True Voice of Taiwan. And I'm a former dean and professor of the School of Journalism at Taiwan University. I should start by saying that although we have found a number of concerning inconsistency and gaps in relation to President Ing Wen-Tsai's PhD thesis, we are at an early stage of our investigation, and we are not in a position to draw any final conclusions about any fraud, or about LAC's role. However, there are clearly grounds for an investigation, and the purpose of this conference is to ask you to assist us. It appears that President Tsai's thesis may not have been properly lodged in the LSE University libraries in 1984, and that the copy she lodged in 2019, 35 years later, is not consistent with all the requirements of a final PhD thesis. We have identified a number of important questions to ask the LSE, and our lawyers will be writing to ask that the LSE to conduct a formal investigation as a matter of urgency. Given the LSE history, it is a matter of major public importance here and in Taiwan that the public is reassured about the way in which President Tsai was awarded her PhD, and if she did in fact meet all the criteria applicable at the time. Until then, serious question marks remain. The topic today is, can one earn a PhD from LSE without a thesis? Yiwen Tsai studied in LSE between 1981 and 1982 and withdrew from course in the end of 1982. She claims she wrote a PhD thesis under the title of Unfair Trade Practices and Safeguard Actions, submitted on June 1983, and she was awarded a PhD degree on March 1984. She went back to Taiwan and was certified as an associate professor. She went to politics with academic credentials. In 2016, she won the election as the first female president in Taiwan's political history. The challenge begins. First of all, President Tsai had been challenged with her integrity as her thesis copy was never submitted. This is a letter from LSE Thesis Online. It's a library assistant research support services from London School of Economics and Political Science. She replied Mr. Professor Ling by saying that Dr. Tsai's thesis is unavailable, I'm afraid. LSE Library has never had a copy of the thesis. It's a letter, an email from library assistant on June 4th, 2019. The second paragraph indicates that all PhDs from that period were awarded under the University of London banner and would have been sent first to Senate House Library, and this being under law would also have gone to the IALS. The third paragraph says, unfortunately, Senate House Library apparently never received a copy, and the IALS are unable to find their copy. The final paragraph indicates that we had to make extensive searches when Dr. Tsai stood for election, and I'm sorry to disappoint.
想为台湾未来公平正义出口气吗？欢迎加入吕秀莲竞选总部志工团，电话0982700635 2020 formosa@gmail.com 2020 formosa@gmail.com 什么大家按自说，感谢大家。 现在大家见面打招呼都在问你联署了吗？联署什么呢？吕秀莲、彭百显参加2020总统大选需要你的联署，一天要连署2万张，不然就来不及啦。怎么联署？在哪里联署？电话请假0800715688，0800715688。什么呢？什么太感按自 C， 感谢大家。
正经关不了正经。各位同学，老师现在在的现场呢，就是蔡同学伦敦蒙难记的现场。那我们昨天的记者会，待会儿我们会分段啊，刚刚看到第1段，接下来我们会分第2段、第3段，然后上了字幕，同时我们也会上英文字幕跟 Hasta la vista， 日本語大丈夫です，我们会向全球发送这个记者会的内容。所以记者会的重点不在于 Liar Infant 很兴奋啦，现场多少人啦。重点在于有多少人收到了我们的讯息。当然，我们事前也知道啊，因为英国的记者他们有一些习惯，待会儿再跟大家说明。好，那我们在这个现场啊，我们就有10个保全人员在帮我们看。那这中间发生了很多奇奇怪怪的事情。事实上呢，我们在做通知英国的记者之前，所以我刚刚讲过，某一台的中文网很斩钉截铁告诉我们，他们不会去，他们没兴趣。可见呢，事前已经有人做了一些事情啊，包括说我们是跨海抹黑啦，我跟林教授是诈骗集团啦，诸如此类的事情，那都不重要，因为英国人也知道这个不以人废言嘛，啊，这个要怎么翻英文啊？再说了哈，那所以他们很清楚，重点在于超过70个记者，他们都收到了我们所有提供的内容，那有几个人有回音，其他人呢看了已读不回，这很正常，这就是媒体记者的生态。那么至于 Liar Infant 很开心，到处说，哎呀，我们现场只有几个人，我们现场到底有几个人呢？这样讲差不多跟我们的邦交国的数目差不多，啊，大概是这样子。那为什么会这样呢？其实事前我们就知道了，因为事前呢有一些媒体有私下跟我们联络，有约专访的，有要资料的。但是他们说，因为英国很大，所以他们不一定会来。而且最近呢，都在忙脱欧的事情。另外，他们觉得这种事情啊是 investigative reporting， 就是它不是一个 event 的现场，它是必须花时间去调查的。所以来不来不重要，重要的是东西要给他。好，所以呢，我们就临时做了一个转换，我们就跟他讲说，可以，那不然你不能来没有关系，我们 online 你可以在这个网址可以收看到。所以我们临时把它转换成一个 online 的记者会。我们就请保全人员，时间到了关门，所以我们的记者会2点当地时间召开的时间之后，有多少人被挡在门外我也不知道，反正我们就是关门。好，那中间发生奇奇怪怪的事情，倒是真的是有啊，有2个算年轻人吧，大概30几岁，超普通话，就我们这样讲的话进来了，然后我们的保全就问他说，你是哪一个媒体？他说没有，我们不是媒体，我们就是来看一看。然后保全就上去跟他讲说，抱歉，记者会只接待媒体。他说哦，好啊，好。一般来讲，也许千里迢迢跑来，真的有兴趣的，我觉得啦，这边的台侨如果是真的有兴趣的人，他应该会有。这边台侨长得，你知道，在海外台侨对台湾事务关心，大概都长得差不多的样子，不太可能是这么年轻30几岁的年轻人。而且2个人过来，然后当我们跟他讲说只招待记者，然后问他们身份的时候，他们知道好，那没关系，转头就走。但是转头之后有一个动作让我看出来，他是我们纳税义务人的这个钱所栽培的精英。他转头之后又朝整个会场环视了一遍，那个动作很特别，你知道，就整个看了一遍，仿佛要回去写一个报告，要有一个人事实地物嘛。所以呢，我们就意识到了这件事情。那现场还有台湾的一家通讯社来，那为什么我们不让录影录音呢？因为台湾的媒体的通讯社我们通通都没有发，所以他会来，可能是别的媒体转介给他的，或者是不知道有什么特别的。 我们不希望他透过，因为你知道台湾的媒体，尤其是通讯社，政府掌控的几乎是已经占了90%，所以我们不希望他去制造一些没有必要的东西，而且我们就跟他讲说，我们这是一场 online 的记者会，所以所有的东西我们都帮你录好了，就在线上可以看，你甚至不必来，哦，那当然他也很好，人很好，也很配合。所以这是我Liar Infant 很开心，大家要酸我们东西，那也没什么好酸，好就是这样。好，那么怪事情就发生了啊！我们的整个记者会从头到尾，Savoy 是1等1的饭店，它特别提供了我们专线，而且给了我们一个upload 20 megabyte， 而且没有任何人跟我们分享的这样子的一个专线啊，所以我们就开始很顺利的进行了记者会，一路我们的连线都是绿灯，直到30几分钟 Q&A 开始，突然断讯。那这个断讯在现场没有任何迹象，我们上传我们的 uplink 还是一路绿灯，所以很明显的知道是在台湾的download 这个downlink 的过程当中被断讯。那至于是谁断讯，我们也不知道啊，但也无所谓，因为断讯之后呢，让我们灵机一动，我们觉得改专访，把它补回去。而且原本我们想说英文、中文就可以了，现在我们决定要扩充到至少5国以上的语言向外发声，而且我们会寄到全球的各个通讯社。那么Lion 粉也好啦，那个蔡同学也好，在媒体，在全球媒体界，你的形象比较好还是我的形象比较好？我们可以比一比，好，我们可以比一比。过去我在台大新闻所担任彭博士教授文政所长超过20年，啊，我们接触到的全球的通讯社跟全球的媒体记者，现在还在跑线的多少还有一些人嘛。那我们过去做过的很多努力，在学术界也好，在实务界上做的成就，一生透明，一生清白，跟雾锁伦敦、暗看考的蔡同学比起来，你觉得一个记者对抗一个总统，就世界上的媒体的角度来看，他们会比较相信谁呢？好，所以蔡同学你还要继续努力。那越打压我们越强，所以于是我们在海外的这个蔡同学论文清白团人数不断的增加啊，来自各地的人啊一直加入，而且他们会用各种方式在各个地方去联系各种媒体，然后我们会做一场又一场的 online 的记者会。那现在开始呢，我也努力的来学一下西班牙语 Hasta la vista 啊，我们可以用各种方式把这个声音传播出去。好，接下来呢，我们再来看一看我们事实上是用，就是我们的那个很特别，各位会问说，那你那个断讯之后，我们现场摆了2台的摄影机，一台是做 OBS 直播的，我们另外一台呢是在做现场录下来的。就你知道很奇怪的事情真的发生了，我们那台的那个记忆卡有64个 GB， 结果我们录到9个 GB 的时候，就自己断了，我也不知道。所以这叫墨菲定律了哈，但我不会怀疑到说咱们国安局这么厉害，还可以潜入我的这个摄影机去破坏我的摄影机。如果真这么厉害，那我也就这一票投给蔡同学了啦。我觉得不要说台湾独立有望了，3民主义统一中国都将指日可待啊！但是很奇怪，就是墨菲定律了，那个最需要的、最不可思议的事情就会发生在最关键的时候。但这些都没有关系啊，因为林怀强教授啊，在场的其他人啊，我们都还可以用专访的方式来完成，而且我们事后制作还可以做字幕嘛，对，所以一切都没有问题。好，接下来呢，我们就来看看记者会的第2段。好，第2段我们将进入更精彩的部分，而这个记者会全球以当时在线上看的人，有将近2万多到3万，那事后啊，经过1天24小时之后，已经超过接近60万人在收看这个东西。那包括我们的记者们，有些人看了以后有跟我们做一些联系，有约一些私下的访问。所以呢，这场记者会除了扣2分，不能够让 Liar Infant 很兴奋之外，我给他98分。接到广告之后，我们再继续回到记者会当时的现场，然后我们补上了中文字幕。
When President Tsai was questioned with her PhD diploma, she showed 3 kinds of LSE and University of London diplomas in 3 different periods. The first one shown is on July 9th of this year. The signature is Andrew Smith, who was the Vice Chancellor of the University of London from 2012 to 2018. And this diploma, the source is the Office of the President of Taiwan. Tsai's second diploma was shown on September 4th of 2019. The signature is Randall Kirk, who was the Vice Chancellor of the University of London from 1981 to 1985. The source is also from Office of the President of Taiwan. The third one, shown on September 4th, 2019. The signature is Graham Davis, who was the Vice Chancellor of the University of London from 2003 to 2010. And the source is a DPP's Congresswoman. On September 2019, this also is a letter from the head of the Diploma Production Office, the University of London Worldwide. He replied, Professor Lin, by saying that replacement certificates are only issued in case of proven loss or accidental destruction, and they will, of course, still be identical to the original document. Same wording, same signatures. On September 2019, President Tsai took legal actions against 3 professors. One is Professor Lin, the other one is me, and the third one is President Tsai's college law professor, Ms. Ho. We questioned her degree without thesis. In Taiwan, she is immune to lawsuit as an incumbent president. Furthermore, on July 19, 2019, Tsai even ordered her doctoral thesis and doctoral diploma as Taiwan's national secret for 30 years. My question is, if she completed the PhD requirement of LSE, then why she put her doctoral diploma as Taiwan's national secret for 30 years? My question also goes to, did Ms. Tsai make this copy in her garage, or else SE reproduce them, since she has 3 different versions of PhD diploma? On September 23rd, 2019, Tsai handed over a draft of her personal thesis copy in loose pages to National Central Library in Taiwan and obtained endorsement from National Central Library while breaking collection rules. The NCL in Taiwan was further challenged with its favorable treatment to Tsai, as she uses her political weight to determine the criteria of accepting qualified thesis academically. Taiwanese media tends to be quiet about it. We have been sued by President Tsai Ing-wen in Taiwan for accusing her 3 forged LSE PhD diplomas and fake theses. LSE's media relations seem to cover up and delay verification inquiries. The Taiwan Research Office at LSE is funded by Taiwanese government, and the Taiwan Research Office even issued a statement in the press section of LSE website to confirm Tsai's PhD degree. This is on January 16th of 2016. This is on January 19th of 2016. And this is on October 8th of 2019. Furthermore, we found the office also received an anonymous donation of 480,000 pounds from the period of 2007 and 2014. As you can see on the screen. My question is, did this anonymous donation have correlation with this mysterious thesis event?
想为台湾未来公平正义出口气吗？欢迎加入吕秀莲竞选总部志工团，电话09827006352020 formosa@gmail.com 2020 formosa@gmail.com 什么大家按自说，感谢大家。
Let me share some facts based on the facts we already found. First of all, no thesis copy has been ever found in LSE Library, Sandy Hook Library, and IARS before June of 2019. Before July 15, 2019, we were able to search LSE Library website on a book which has identical title with the type thesis, Unfair Trade Practices and Safeguard Actions. And this book has co-authored with Mr. Michael Elliott. After we exposed the search with 2 authors in my show, True Voice of Taiwan, the search at LSE Library now only shows one name, which is Yingwen Cai. My question is it possible that a PhD thesis has 2 authors? After our intensive investigation, she sent her personal copy on June 28, 2019 at LSE Women's Library, and now classified as a book. President Tsai owes the copyright and hence set the restrictions for reading, copying, and quoting. 4 notes and 1 without is on her so-called thesis. The copyright declaration on all our thesis states, I recognize that copyright of the thesis rests with the author and that no quotation from it or information derived from it may be published without the prior written consent of the author. Therefore, although fair use copying is normally permitted, given the current interest of the thesis, we have therefore taken the decision to restrict copying of any part of the thesis unless the researcher already has the author's permission. President Tsai even claimed LSE Library lost her thesis copies, and that is why she resubmitted a copy through fax to LSE on June 2019. My question is, how can all 3 libraries lost Tsai's thesis at mine? And also, when journalists ask Ms. Tsai who restricts her thesis for copying and taking pictures or borrowing, she lied.
没有什么状况的话，规则比如说不可以有翻拍，不可以用，不可以用钢笔字，就有蛮多规则。
这个我不知道，这个我也想去了解一下。
是你定的？
当然不是我定的。
因为他说是你要求。
不会是吧？
After Professor Lin and Dr. Alex Xu from Oxford personally read this book, they found a personal copy of thesis full of defects against LSE PhD Academy rules, which including pagination, not in numerical sequence, pages, not single-sided leaves, footnotes, not in numerical sequence, missing pages, handwritten editing, computer-justified format versus typewriter style in 1983. No declaration, no conclusion, no official acceptance by LSE on the front pages. My question is, can this poor quality thesis accepted by LSE? And we can also see more supporting documents. The left-hand side, this certificate is the certification of thesis submission provided by Tsai. However, there is no signature. On the right-hand side, similar documents saying Tsai passed the PhD exam is also no signature. My question is it possible to have official letter from LSE that has no signatures? And this one is provided by Office of Taiwan President Office, Tsai's student record. On the left upper corner, we can see the degree and faculty. It was MPHIL, parenthesis law, but who crossed it out to write it over as PhD. And the bottom is retro, October 80. As we can see in the middle of this paper, we can see the begin date is October 1980. The course length is 21 months. The expected completion date is June 82. Also, in the middle of this paper, that's the tuition record. We can see from 1980 to 1981, the supervisor was Mr. Lazar and Mr. M.J. Elliott. And Ms. Tsai is a full-time student and paying her tuition yearly. And the second row shows from 1981 to 1982, her supervisor was Mr. Elliott, also a full-time student, and paid the tuition quarterly. On the left side, actually is the middle of this paper. The examination option and thesis title was something like a law, a non-tariff trade, barrier, legal, blah, blah, blah. And then, who cross it out, become unfair trade practices and safeguard actions. And on the right-hand side, the date of entry was June 83. The result was degree awarded February 84. But the bottom of the paper shows the BS laws, date of approval of thesis title as January 1983. And the bottom line says, remarks, November 10th, 1982, withdrawal from courses, financial difficulties. My question is it possible to get a PhD degree in just 8 months? My second question goes to why there are so many questions on her student records. This page shows what we try to compare her classmates graduate same year from the LSE Law, PhD in 1984. It's so different. Ms. Tsai's thesis creation day is 2019. And the notes saying that a photocopy of Yingwen Tsai's personal copy and the dissertation date was 1983. But her classmate, the creation date of the thesis is 1984. And the note on SAE is this thesis is the property of the University of London. My question is, why Tsai's thesis information shown on LSE is so different from others? We are here to seeking help from British media and British people. Would you please ask LSE, University of London, to clarify whether Tsai has gone through all requirements by LSE PhD Academy? Did she pass the oral defense for the PhD program? Who was her thesis examiner? Has the problematic thesis met the LSE PhD requirements? Why the thesis was missing and never available to public reading before June of 2019? What is the relationship between Taiwan Research Program and Taiwanese government? Why is the role of Taiwan Research Program in this thesis event? You may download the 50 pages English investigative report from Professor Lin. He spent 5 months working on this. And here is the QR code. Thank you very much. Let's fight for justice together. And now is a Q&A questions. Thank you for some reporters. You send your questions online, and we will answer one by one accordingly. Let me introduce Professor Lin.
好，昨天在记者会完之后呢，我就是因为 Savoy 是一个很特别的饭店，坦白讲，那个钱花的有点贵，因为没那么好，但它就是古色古香，非常英国。然后你在它的那个餐厅看到一堆英国的绅士淑女在喝下午茶，然后那些茶具都非常讲究，都是那种瓷的很漂亮的，就很精致。然后饭店房间很小，然后通道呢很小，跟那个亚森罗平的那个秘密的坑道里面那个有点像，上上下下左左右右弯来弯去弯来弯去，然后找到那个饭店啊会议的现场啊，然后那个整个饭店联络的管道就是透过那种起起伏伏，然后柳暗花明又一村的这个羊肠小径，好，我们就这样子匍匐前进。不过之所以花这个钱啊，是因为它包套了一些很好的安全措施，而且放在这里啊，当地的人帮我们联系，他说放在这里呢，对于你们的决心啊，跟你们跟大家所展现出来的你们是一个团队的那样子的专业是有帮助的。好，所以我们直播一完以后，我们就打回原形啊，我们就是那个 Cinderella 就回到了那个就是那个丑小鸭，所以我们就搬到了一个小饭店，然后继续。像我在这个饭店就是一个伦敦市区的一个小饭店，不过没有问题，因为我们的节目已经我们的这个记者会已经做完了啊。那我昨天记者会做完的时候呢，我走盖那小通道，突然有一个人冒冒失失的冲上来，跟我说：“老师。”我说：“哎，加油，老师，我你们的记者会完了吗？”我说：“对。”他说我是台大学生，他说我在英国伦敦大学念书，他说我们好一群人都很关心这件事情，所以我特地赶过来哦。他塞车塞得很厉害，就没赶上。我说我刚刚结束。他说：“哎呀，这个人跟我攀谈了一下。他说，以前我们在校园里面都在对付这个国民党，他说现在我们都在对付民进党，他说，说来真的是很伤心。他说这个一言难尽了哈。他说老师加油啊。他说我们这边都在关心你。然后或者我给你照张相。我说好啊。照完以后，我说你可以 po 脸书没有问题，因为我一向是这样，有人要跟我照相你就照，你要 po 就 po， 我们不是我而已，我全家都透明。有人会说，你要小心你的孩子安全啊。不过我基本上我的信念是我是一个透明的人，我是一个清清白白，透明的人啊。我跟蔡同学不一样，就蔡同学是一生沉迷啦。好，那我觉得我坦然面对，我也没有害任何人。即便是蔡同学或者 Liar Infant， 你知道我做的每一件事情没有为自己，你知道我做的每一件事情行在光明里，你知道我做的每一件事情按上帝的公义行。所以我坦荡荡。那倒是他说不要，他说我不贴脸书。我说为什么？他说我不曝光，老师这样我才能帮助你。他说你随时跟我联络。他说你在英国伦敦需要做任何的事情，我都帮你。我听了好感动，而且年轻人
大学刚毕业2、3年，到英国伦敦大学来念书，来念研究所。他说我们在英国的一些留学生，他说跨学校的对蔡同学这件事情，大家都气愤不已。他说我们在这边念书的人一看就哈哈大笑，没有人的论文是这样写的，没有人的学位是这样拿的。他说不必再问别人了，他说我们这一群同学，大家心里都很清楚，只是在什么情况之下，可以透过老师你把这个真相给挖掘出来，我们都在等待这一天。我听了好感动，我知道我们做的事情虽然被打压、被抹黑、被跟监、被破坏，但是只要做对的事情，坚持做对的事情，不就这样吗？人生所在乎的事情不就这样吗？那因为这一次的种种的打压，我们会更坚定的把这个步伐迈向国际。所以我们在英国的这些律师团跟我们在这边的各种义工啊，慢慢就加入，因为我们的行踪曝光了，所以就开始很多人联络我们，告诉我们他距离我们多远，要来看我们等等。但是我先暂时就谢谢你们。那因为我这一趟还有其他的任务，我们会把它在任务中完成，所以我没有太多时间跟你们见面，也没有时间去玩，也没有心情去玩。那么下一次有机会啊，等到蔡同学的事情啊，我们还蔡同学清白之后了啊，那我们再一起啊来游游大笨钟、泰晤士河，然后去看看海里拔豆的故乡。所以这一趟我在这边千言万语就用一个谢谢来感谢在英国还有来自世界各地的人对我们的支持。哦，对了，今天是金玉的生日，顺便说生日快乐。很抱歉，你老公没有办法在家里面帮你切蛋糕。好，我们进到广告之后，我们再回到记者会的现场。
questions, and here I got some questions from British reporters. Here, let me read the first question for you. The first question is, do you prepare to take legal action against LSE? At this point of stage, there are many questions that arise from our investigation, and we need to ask the LSE to clarify. And our main objective is not to take legal action against the London School of Economics. However, we will continue working closely with our legal team. And then the next question is, here is the second question. A question for Dr. Lin is, what is your motive to start the investigation? Well, the purpose of my investigation is not for political election. It has nothing to do with that at all. It's purely for the sake of honesty or academic integrity. And then the third question. The third question says, during your investigation, did you interview the college that graduated the same year with Ying Wen Cai? I did contact several persons who are related to 1984. I contacted some retired professors at the London School of Economics. I also contacted some PhD who graduated exactly in 1984. But here I do not want to disclose their name. Okay, I like to keep them confidential at this point.
Dr. Lin.
Yes.
I have questions. Can you elaborate on the role of Taiwan Research Program at LSE? Do you think that the anonymous donations is connected to Taiwanese government? And how confident are you on your investigation report?
Okay, so there are actually three specific questions. At this point, I'm not quite clear about the role of the Taiwan Research Program in this thesis diploma event. Okay. However, I do notice that co-director of the Taiwan Research Program, Dr. Si Fanglong, Dr. Fanglong Si, she has been very active to defend President Tsai Ing-wen from time to time. This is very clear. And whether or not the private donation of about 450,000 pounds is related to the Taiwanese government, I'm not sure yet at this point. But we will continue to explore this issue. And the next one is?
How confident are you?
Oh, sure, I'm very confident on my report. My report has concluded that President Ying Wen Cai was not awarded a PhD degree in law in 1984. Okay, we provide multi-source data. We have provided multi-source proof funding to support our conclusion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further question? Well, if you have no more questions here, I'd like to share a very important piece of information with you. Right after the London School of Economics issued a statement saying that Ying Wen Cai was correctly awarded a PhD in 1984. And we got an email immediately after this statement announcement. Okay, then this email said that this email was from IALS library. Okay, this library confirmed with me once again that the library has never received a copy of Ying Wen Cai thesis, even though the library has known this new statement. We also got another email from Center Hall Library. The Center Hall Library said that they did receive a copy of the thesis, but not in 1984. They received it in 2011. Does it sound very unusual? How come a PhD thesis completed in 1984 could be received in 2011? This has been way too overdue and is certainly inconsistent with the university policy and requirement.
Dr. Lin, I also have another question. According to LSE's student record,
yes,
she submitted her thesis in 1984 while studying back in 1983, but at the same time, between 1981 to 1984, she also a professor in Taiwanese university called Zhenji University. I don't know how a person can study at a top university in London, LSE, as a PhD degree. At the same time, she also teaching at the university in Taiwan. How can you be a student and also professor without a PhD degree, at the same time teaching and studying at the different places?
Well, this is the latest information I just got from the Taiwan media, and I have noted this event. According to this information, Ying Wen Cai served as a thesis advisor for a master student in Taiwan, and this master thesis was completed in the spring semester of 1984. So this implies that prior to the spring semester of 1984, Ying Wen Cai must have been there teaching or doing research there. And this should be a big problem. Okay, according to the student record, Ying Wen Cai should have been working on her thesis or preparing for her oral examination. How come she stayed in Taiwan and served as a master thesis advisor there?